What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of epic conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations.
Something's got to separate you from the rest. So you got to be willing to do whatever.
In my experience, Black men have struggles like having community with each other.
But she represents the mammy stereotype.
Now that was epic. I needed that. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that movement, the team has reached out to over 500,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you are blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And we're going to get right into it. But I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping, and we're going to go right into it. So subscribe to the Dr. Vibe show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also like the Dr. Vibe show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Substack. And if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm on, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. And can't forget our good friends at Indie Soup Media, independent content creators platform that's powered by my good digital friend, Dr. Tachi, who's based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Been around for about 2.5 years, over 28,000 subscribers on her YouTube platform, which makes her subscriber-wise, Indie Soup Media, one of the top 4% of all YouTube channels. Well, we always have epic conversations, but this is a really special epic conversation we're going to have today. But before we give you the details, we're going to run a little bit of a background video on what we're chatting about today. So we'll be back in a few moments. Here we go. For nearly 200 years, from the early Black press to today's digital platforms, Black media has been the trusted voice that tells our stories when mainstream outlets distort, downplay, or ignore them. In 2026, the stakes have never been higher, but the opportunities have never been bigger. What's wrong with mainstream media? Let's be clear, mainstream media still has a serious Black representation problem on camera, in the newsroom, and especially in leadership. Studies keep showing that Black people are overrepresented in negative stories like crime and underrepresented in stories about innovation, success, and everyday life. That kind of coverage doesn't just hurt feelings. It shapes public policy, fuels bias in policing, housing, and employment, and reinforces the idea that Blackness is a problem instead of a source of genius and culture. The rise and resilience of Black-owned media, but that's not the whole story. Black-owned and Black-led media are growing especially in digital spaces like YouTube, podcast, streaming, and social platforms. From legacy Black newspapers to newer digital networks, our outlets are building audiences in the millions, creating jobs and giving brands real access to Black consumers with trillions in spending power. They're doing it while facing chronic underfunding, inconsistent ad support, and political pushback against diversity and equity. Yet the resilience is real. Many Black-owned platforms are innovating with live streams, memberships, events, and partnerships to stay independent and sustainable. Algorithms, censorship, and platform risk. At the same time, our people are fighting a new battle on the algorithmic front lines. Black creators report that their content is often demonetized, downranked, or flagged, especially when they speak directly about racism, organizing, or advancing Black communities. Research shows bias moderation and AI systems are more likely to flag language and narratives coming from Black communities, while hate speech against us too often slips through. So even as we build on these platforms, we're constantly pushing against invisible walls that decide who gets seen and who gets silenced. Where we go from here. So what is the state of Black media today? Under attack in some ways, under-resourced in many ways, but powerful, creative, and absolutely essential. If we want Black media to thrive, we need three things: creators who tell the truth, institutions and advertisers that invest in Black-owned outlets, and audiences who intentionally like, share, subscribe, and spend with the platforms that stand for us. Because at the end of the day, whoever controls the narrative controls the future, and Black media exists so we can control our own. All right, family. we are talking about the state of Black media today, and there is no better person I feel we could have talk about the state of Black media. I'm hoping I can call him a friend going forward. He calls me sir, but I like to call him friend, is Phillip Scott. And Phillip Scott is the founder and chief executive media architect of the African Diaspora News Channel, one of the most influential Black-owned media platforms on the internet, with over 19.7 million monthly network views and 2.96 million total subscribers across 6 platforms, including African Diaspora News, AfroWire AI, The Phillip Scott Show, The Phillip Scott Podcast, Emancipation Media, and Soraya, the songstress. Phillip has built a fully integrated AI-powered media ecosystem that reaches a global audience of adults across the United States and the diaspora. His work has been featured on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Roku, Amazon Music, and Spotify. So I think there's no better person to have up here than Mr. Phillip Scott. Good day, Mr. Scott. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I appreciate you inviting me, to your platform. It is a blessing, and I appreciate that wholeheartedly.
Well, it's a blessing for all of us. So if it's as much of a blessing for you, it's even more a blessing for us in the family here. And I'm going to shout out right on the front end. Big shout out to Emma Ansa, who made this conversation happen. This couldn't happen without her. So people, put in your comments, especially if you're live, and we'll pick them up. So I'm going to start off with this. For those who don't know you yet, how do you describe Phillip Scott, who you are, and the mission of the African Diaspora News Channel in 2026?
If I could describe myself, I've always been the guy that has been that underdog type. So that people maybe would overlook, but it's always dangerous to overlook me because I'm the one that's going to probably get past probably most people because I won't stop. Others will. When I usually get something in my head, it just don't go away. No. And that drive has taken me from the petrochemical plant where I used to work.
Wow.
To even where I'm at today. When I started my platform, I was doing it on my days off in front of a shower curtain in my bathroom in the apartment and just having an opinion. But I saw there was a lane to get out of petrochemical, working for these people who don't have a lick education, but got jobs that they shouldn't even be having, right? You know, how they have a system where color gets them in the door, but not merit, but they'll tell me and you that is merit, right? Merit based, right? Whatever. So for me, I'm all about creating, and definitely ownership. And when you get out of that plantation of working for these people and you start working for yourself, you never want to go back to that. It feels like you literally been let off of a plantation. And I always tell this story about I was going to go to Kenya one year. And I was telling the supervisor, hey, I'm going to go ahead and go to Kenya and say, well, I got to see if I'm going to approve that or not. And if something clicked in me that day like this, I'm like, why am I asking a grown man where I can go? You know what I'm saying? I'm grown. I tell you what I'm going to do. And in my head, I told him, say, look, this is what I'm doing. I was prepared that day to go. You know what I'm saying? So for us, ownership of everything we're doing is the key, because as long as we're working for these people, as long as we have to answer to them, even on the job, we still being controlled. So for me, it's about ownership. And I guess maybe that's the renegade in me a little bit too, because I feel like I don't like systems like that. I don't like gatekeepers. I hate them. Be honest with you, I don't like gatekeepers because all they do is stifle creativity, stifle great people, and definitely stifle our community. So, that's more so my story in a small sense. It's more many layers to it, of course.
Of course.
But for me, it's that I've always been that underdog guy. So I always gotta let you know what we're working with.
100%. Let me ask, when you started the media journey, was it wanting to be part of mainstream media, or was it always independent first?
No, at that time, I had my accent was a little bit thicker, but then strong country accent. So I did not have any things to want to be in the mainstream media at all. YouTube was new to me at the time. And so when I saw a brother doing a video at the time, and he had called the drive time, and he was talking about Black community issues, and I like that impressed me one time. It was a weekend I was off, and it was raining, so I just kind of binge watched his videos. He was talking about the Black community. So back in that time, you could they had like a DM on YouTube at the time. They don't have it no more. Ben took that away. And I messaged the brother, and he encouraged me, hey, well, shoot, man, get your own camera. And, hey, you part of the Black community, talk about these issues. I can't talk about it all. So that's kind of how I got started. So it wasn't that I wanted to work for mainstream media. No, not at all.
Okay. So how has your personal journey as a Black man, husband, father shaped the way you approach news, commentary, and the stories you choose to highlight?
Well, everything that we do is through the Black lens. And I definitely will say Black American lens to be exact. And our story, our history, our lineage have been through a lot. So one thing that I've seen that we didn't have proper representation for Black America at all in media. And the few people that you do have in the media, well, they're literally being controlled. They have to read a teleprompter. They can't really say what they want to say, because you meet these people, and which I have, they're like, oh, you're so free to say what you want to say, but I can't say this. Or if I cover this story, that they may shelve it, but here you can cover the story. So for me, that's just the freedom part. Now, as a father and as a husband, as a grandfather, everything I do is infused into the essence of what I do. I cannot escape who I am at all. So every part of what I do is through the experiences that, I have lived.
Excellent. Good stuff. So let's talk a little bit deeper about the state of Black media. So if you had to give a report card on the state of Black media in 2026, what grade would you give and why?
A through F?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay, I would give it an F.
Wow. Okay. Can you go a little deeper on that letter?
I would give it an F because we don't have a lot of ownership. We are on rented platforms for the most part. And sure, we have some, but I'm talking about really, a lot of people still dependent on, when I say rented platforms, I mean Facebook, YouTube, all these different other platforms who could just take you off tomorrow by the click of a button, right? It don't matter if you did right and did everything, they can make a decision, you're gone. The key is ownership, right? And we need to be doing ownership, like our own websites, our own apps, our own newsletters, our own everything, owning our own data, whether you're text messaging your people or whatever the case may be. And we just need to have more ownership of that. You can look at the biggest podcast and plays that Black people have, and you got to think about it. Let's say, and this is entertainment, the Breakfast Club. Well, that's iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio is owned by white folk.
Yep.
That's not owned by them.
Yep.
You just start going through the different things that Black people have, and it's tied to the folks. So we are not where we need to be. Now, for me to say A would be 100% ownership of everything that we do. But even if we got to a B or a C, at least 80% of what we do is owned by us, I would be extremely happy. But I'm just being honest. I mean, we're not there.
Excellent. Okay, just going to jump in. We got a lot of people giving comments, so we're just going to get through them fast here. We got Azil Viper says, just got here and drinking my morning coffee. Ben Dio to you, sir. So obviously sounds like a foreign country. And of course, Emma answers here with her hands up. And also we got a comment here, fantastic content. Hope everyone's morning is going well and your coffee is strong this Tuesday. Well, it's Wednesday, so I don't know about that. And Emma says, Phillip Scott's in the house. And I've got another person here. What's up, Dr. Vibe? And also, what's up, Phil? And also, Azelle says, thank you, Emma and Phillip. So let's get back to some more conversation pieces here. Do you see any wins in the area of Black media at this present time? Or do you feel it's basically we're using using other people's, or as you say, the folks' platform? Are we winning anywhere, in your opinion, when it comes to Black media?
Yes, we have certain places we are greatly improving, but you asked for an overall question, right? So to give you, like, let's say individual wins, yes, I think we have a great opportunity and we are doing very good at getting the messaging out, especially from the grassroots. We can, take some, highlight something. That's why even the folks a lot of times scared when we pull out cameras, because we about to mess your life up. So we've done pretty good at that. Okay. Beautiful thing. Great. I'm happy with Black people doing that. Okay. So it's kind of leveling the playing field a lot with us, with these, cell phones and any other camera that you have, meta glasses or whatever. You're exposing these people and putting them on blast. Good job. So I definitely like that portion of it. I like that people are using social media, not just to twerk and everything else, but they're using it to, get out grassroots messaging, letting people know what it is, and not letting the mainstream media try to dictate and speak for us, or we speak for ourselves now. So that's also great, that I love. So that's about the two things that I could point out the most, for sure.
Okay. I want to highlight some of the stuff you're doing. So you're now running a network that employs people across multiple countries. What if you learned about managing a global Black newsroom across the US and the continent?
Different cultures, different mindsets, and learning how to have synergy with all of them. That's really the main thing. Because as a Black American, I'm used to, Black American things. And when you work with people in different countries, different mindsets, we've had some spirited discussions, behind the scenes, in meetings, and just learning of those things, right? And I think it's good to work with other people, whether it is, within the community globally, or whoever you're going to work with, as long as you align on core principles. Because now I can't work with someone that don't align with me on core principles. Right. But I've learned that, hey, it's different ways of doing things sometime, and some things I agree with and could even take on. Some of it I may not agree with, but respect is always the key.
Nice. So also, what systems and disciplines have allowed you to move from a YouTube channel to a media company?
Being disciplined and just having, for me, I have to have order. I can't do things without order. I can't work with chaos. I can't work with toxicity, even in my personal life. If it's about chaos or toxicity, you won't see me very long, right? I got to have peace. So for me, putting the right systems in place, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, is really the only way I'm going to do anything, no matter what it is. So I guess that's more so discipline. And that's the only way I can operate. I cannot operate outside of that.
Yeah, important. So just out of curiosity, as the chief media architect, what is a typical work week look like for you?
Ooh, that's a lot. That's interesting. Okay. Well, a typical day,
Okay, let's say day. Week's probably too crazy. Just say day.
Yeah, I can give it to you. A typical day may be, my alarm goes off at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and I get up and I head to the gym. That's the first important thing, is health, right? So I go to the gym by 4:30 in the morning, come back, of course, talk with the wife and my daughter getting ready for school. After that, they leave, I get myself together, and then I come up here, and then I start looking at, either on my phone goes off constantly, hey, Phil, what's going on with here? Phil, can you look at this? Hey, Phil, I need this answer. Hey, Phil, and I'm looking at my emails. Then I also do content myself. And then in the midst of me doing all of that, then, hey, my wife is calling sometimes, like, hey, I need this, or my daughter's texting me from school, Daddy, could you bring me some lunch? So it's so much going on at the same time, while I'm doing content, while I'm looking at my whiteboards over here, trying to figure out other plans I have going on, while I'm going back and forth, with Kellen, shout out to him, business manager. On top of that, I'm going back and forth with AI. I'm constantly doing things. It's so much going on constantly with me, right? So my days go like this. That's why I look up, I'm like, wow, March is almost done, but it feels like it went in a blur.
Right. Are there, during the day or during the week, when it comes to the content, are there some decisions only you can make?
Only decisions?
And so any decisions, like when you're running this company, that only you can make? Because you did mention your business manager, but are there still some decisions only you can make?
In this iteration, I feel some that only I can make, because it's just but I know Kellen gets on to me sometime about letting some things go, and I know that's a founder syndrome I have, and I'm trying to work through my founder syndrome.
Okay.
But I feel certain things that I just have to do because it may not be done the way I would want it done. So I guess and I've let some things go, but I haven't let it all go. No.
Okay, cool. You are one of the mentors I look at and how much you've brought in AI in what you're doing, and especially with AfroY AI. I want to know, you launched AfroWire, sorry, my mouth, AfroWire AI as an AI-driven news platform. What problem were you trying to solve with AI that traditional formats couldn't, are not doing?
Well, how AfroWire came up was I was going back and forth with ChatGPT about something new with AI. And I think at the time I was like, what if it hit me like, what if we do a AI news channel that's black? I say, well, I don't see that, right? You see people making little videos, but I'm talking about really put it together. And so we came up with that about in June, where we launched in June, but kind of idea came up in May, made the logo, got the logo done. Of course, the logo was done, with AI, saved me a lot of money because I was paying a lot of money at one point in time to graphic designers for doing that sort of thing. Then we just went to getting it all put together. I started designing the first characters, which was LaSherica, Lavea, and Jerome at the time. Those three started off. And then later I developed other characters like Layla, Sister Samila, a couple of others I developed, but the ones that kind of stuck, that worked out pretty good, I kind of kept. LaSherica is definitely the main one that everybody likes. Everybody likes LaSherica, so that's cool, and that's no problem.
Good stuff. Then how do you respond to people who are excited about innovation but worried that AI will replace Black journalists and Black storytellers?
Well, every new technology is going to replace something, right? But AI can only do so much. It's still human beings have to be behind AI. And I love a challenge. And my wife even asked me the same question, say, well, aren't you worried that AI is going to replace you? I'm like, let it replace me. It can if it wants to, as long as I'm behind it. That's it. As long as I'm behind it. LaSherica can take my spot today. I tell people that she, great. Long as I'm the one that's behind her. That's all. Because a person like me has been doing it for a hot minute. Sometimes you don't want to do certain things anymore. So if the AI can do it, let the AI do it. But I don't fear no AI. For what? I mean, to me, AI has been a great addition. AI has helped me make definitely some extra money, save me thousands of dollars that I would have to pay to people that I didn't have money to pay to. So, I'm very pro AI. I'm not on that gloom and doom. Oh, AI ain't gonna do this. Listen, you fear AI gonna take your job, or tell people get the skilled trades, get things that AI can't do. AI can't be a nurse. AI can't be your doctor. AI can't go change, the pipe and the plumbing. AI can't do it's not an electrician. It's a whole lot of jobs that AI cannot do. So it's always going to be a lane for human beings.
Nice. Just staying on the AI tip for another few moments. For you, what does ethical, culturally grounded use of AI look like in Black media, in your opinion?
You use the term ethical. Can you expound on what you mean by ethical?
Good question back. I would say, okay, let me rephrase this way. What do you feel for Black content creators is the proper use of AI when it comes to content creation, when it comes representing our culture?
Okay. Well, I've seen it from being very professionally done to just being ratchet. I've seen it on both, all the way in between.
Top. Yeah.
With AI, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the one to be the architect and telling people you use AI this way. Because who am I to judge people? If that's their expression, that's their expression. But on this angle, I want to make our AI characters or AI journalists be respectful, be fly dressers, be very wise. Somebody that you can even, maybe even look up to. People look up to characters in movies or different seasons of shows, and they like, musicians or whatever they look up to. So I've always wanted mine to be representations of what I think the proper representation should be. So the good thing is I could throw what I feel a proper representation could be. Now, somebody else may want something else, but for us, it definitely with AfroWire, you're not going to see nothing that's not professional or respectful. That's just really what it is.
Nice. Got 2 more quick comments here.
Mhm.
Someone saying, salute Mr. Phillip Scott. And then Ray McMillan, one of my good associates, says, good day, gentlemen. Love the response for AI. AI is here to give us our time back, so let's use it to our advantage. 100%. All right. Want to transition over to platform power, censorship, and content moderation. So you've built your audience largely on big tech platforms that can also demonetize or deplatform creators. How has that tension shaped your strategy?
Realistically, it makes you live on the edge a little bit because of that reason. That's why we are very hardcore shifting with our strategy, with our app that we own, that nobody can demonetize and nobody can take down. You have to understand, if you are on a YouTube channel, it is a YouTube channel. It's not yours. You're just like renting. That's all you're doing. And the landlord is YouTube, and they tell you what to do, what you can say, what you not can say. Now, YouTube is a great platform for marketing and distribution. It's beautiful for that. You can reach a lot of people. And I would tell people, still stay on YouTube. We're going to stay on YouTube, but we're going to do more exclusive things and, first dibs on our app. And then, you'll get it on YouTube. That's the strategy that we're doing now, because if we can just convert 1% of our audience to our app, we won, but we'll still do YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But it's their platform at the end of the day. I mean, it's nothing nobody can do. Trust me, I've been through it with YouTube. I've been through it. And I will say that at the end of the day, it's what they say. It's not what we say.
Exactly. When did the thought process start of building your own app for the platform? Was there a moment that Phil says, okay, we got to build our own app? Was there a moment that made that start to happen?
Well, I know Kellen was discussing, about having an app, and I'm like, okay. And then eventually I got into it, after that discussion. That's usually, a lot of times he'll mention things, and like later down the line, I like, okay. But for me, I think that was a great move, to do that, because YouTube, it's changed a lot. There's a lot you can't say. There's a lot you can't report on.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm tired of not reporting on certain things. So now I say, hey, I can just do it on my app and there's no issue, no problem. And it's not that I want to go show gross nudity or stuff that's just wild. No. It's just some things that we may want to talk about that's still important for the Black community to know about. And YouTube can dictate what we say here because it's their platform. So we need to be on our own, right? And that's the beauty of having our own app.
Just to further your thoughts on that, so what do Black creators and audiences need to understand about algorithms and moderation policies if we're going to protect our voices online?
Learn their community guidelines, learn the monetization guidelines, learn, and try to stay within those rules, because I've had, my example, I've had a channel hack before. My main channel was hacked before it was taken down, got it put back up.
Wow.
I've been demonetized on channels before, but I put in appeals, I get it right back. I had another channel taken down before, put in an appeal, got it right back, because they have AI moderation now. That's the only thing about AI I don't like, is the AI moderation, because the AI do make mistakes. But when the human gets involved, it usually solves itself. But I would say learn the rules as much as possible and follow them like the military. and that's just really what I would say about it. I mean, because definitely the more you grow, the more you have to follow those rules. So we always looking at, okay, if you hear a trend that has something happening to a bunch of creators, you want to say, what is this going on? Because it could be some new rule. So you want to ensure that you're not breaking this rule. It's very stressful. It's very stressful, especially when you have to pay 20 some odd people and they want their money. They don't want to hear you ain't got it.
Yeah.
So we want to, like I told them, we got to do more on our own and secure our own, and that way it can give me more breathing room.
Nice. Some more comments here. Someone is saying, good topic, Phil. Thanks to you and the co-host for the day. Norman Radio says, checking in. And then Karina says, let's support all Black media. So many of us frown on others. I see it too often. We want absolutely truth, no sugarcoating. Roland Martin has been saying this for years. Okay. Let's talk about some other things here. So you've taken people to hundreds of countries like Kenya, Ethiopia, and South Africa. What happens to people when they touch the continent for the first time?
From my experience, just looking at everybody and what they've told me while there, a lot of things that was said in the mainstream media they saw was false. They couldn't believe they believed that propaganda. A lot of people felt, at peace, enjoying themselves. A lot of people never been in a Black country before like that. So it's always been positive. It was not one person like, why in the world I came out here? It's horrible. No, it's been some people like, hey, I'm coming back. Some people say, hey, I'm gonna stay a lot longer. I've seen people do it. So, I know the trip say it's supposed to end, but I'm just gonna hang out for the month. Seen people do that. Some people have moved over there or got citizenship. So it's been positive. There's nothing been negative about it.
Nice. Ben, how has your platform being in the ground in different African countries changed the stories you tell and how you tell them?
Well, talking to them daily, because really I am talking to, African people all the time in daily. It's changed more so my thought process. For instance, I looked at everything like in America with racism, right? But what I learned from my African brothers and sisters, and definitely a lot of people here on the team, is about culture and how they view how they view culture. And when I come to that realization of culture, even when you look at racism, white supremacy, that is their culture. It's not an ism, really. It's a culture, because if they doing the same thing from 1619 and they still doing the same thing in 2026, that's a culture. That's not an ism. So it helped me to even understand them and why they do what they do. And that's why I even overlook some things they do, because I understand now that it's their culture. It's what they do. It's what they taught. It's what they passed down. They passed down anti-Black racism like somebody passed down a trust. You understand what I'm saying? So it doesn't shock me if they say the N-word or they don't like other groups of people. It doesn't shock me that they want to always rule everybody, and even if they're dumber than a box of rocks. That's just the culture that they have. And anyone outside of their culture who is not anti-Black or have any kind of a bias toward anybody, that's why in that culture they crucified that particular person in that culture. And historically, there have been a lot of white Americans who have gone the way of the tree, because how dare they stand up what is right? And they never want to talk about those white Americans who stood up for what is right, or who lost their life even during the civil rights movement for fighting what was right. They never talk about those white people, never. But they rather talk about the enslavers, the colonizers. That's the people they want to talk about, because that is their culture.
Got it. Got another comment here from Emma. Says, I ain't got it. No, we don't want to hear that. LOL. Okay, good.
No, I don't want to say it either.
Like,
not seriously, I don't want to say it.
That's good. Excellent. Let me ask again in regards to the diaspora storytelling. What suggestions would you give content creators that want to get into the area of telling stories of the diaspora? Because you're doing it, your platform's doing it, you're very good at it, your platform. What suggestions would you give to our content creators that want to do diasporic storytelling?
Well, and what we do, if you pay attention to it, we have people actually from the continent telling the story. They're not here as immigrants, they're over there. And that's, for me, that's the only way to be authentic with the stories. I mean, sure, you can tell the story being an immigrant in America or immigrant in Canada, but if you're not on the soil, like you're not there every day in the trenches, it's kind of something you're just not going to know, because it's no different than living here in the United States. So I try to make sure people are on the soil for the most part, that come here. And, a lot of times, these platforms, you have to maybe break out of your shell a lot, because just from my opinion, not all, but some brothers and sisters that's definitely in the continent kind of, African media is a certain way, and African media trying to get into an American market where the people are totally different. It's like, yeah, you got to break out that shell. But, some people learn how to navigate it, but don't be afraid of it. No, don't be afraid. Tell your story, because trust me, there's a lot of people that want to hear your story on the continent or abroad. There's always room for everybody. That's how I look at it.
I love how you said that, because there's room for everybody. And there's a number of people who don't think there's room for everybody.
Well, first of all, I don't want to be around those people, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Because those kind of people are horrible. Like, what do you mean there's not enough room for everybody? That's what, over 7 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
You mean it is room for everybody to say something. I mean, because think about it. I can only speak to so many people. You can only speak to so many people.
True.
We can't cover it all, right?
No.
So we need all the Black people we can speaking about different things. Because some people may not like me, my look, how I speak. They may not like my Southern accent, but they may like you, right? And they may listen to you. Hey, as long as you're getting the job done, that's all that matters. It don't matter who do it.
Excellent. I want to talk about a little, unfortunately, some politics stuff.
Okay.
So from DEI rollbacks to online hate, what political or policy shifts are you watching most closely because they impact Black media directly?
Okay, you went two different areas. Let's start with DEI.
Yep.
Start there.
Yep.
Give me fully what you're saying about DEI.
Well, I guess in traditionally the less Black faces you're seeing, well, there weren't a lot front of camera, and there are probably even more that are getting let go behind camera. So
Right.
the diversity of media, I guess, in the mainstream, and the diversity of content driven in media, mainstream media, that is.
All right, let's start there.
Yep.
DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, was not a demand from, and I got to go around the time period of George Floyd, for Black Americans. We wasn't demanding diversity, equity, inclusion programs. That is a creation of the white corporate world based on a guilt feeling when Black people was having an uprising about our dearly departed brother, George Floyd. We never asked for that. That's a white folks program. And if you broke down the numbers and looked into it, white women benefited the most off of diversity, equity, inclusion. You know how many white women I saw on LinkedIn? It's the head of DEI. And I'm like, what are you doing, the head of DEI? You know what I'm saying? Black people were at the bottom when all the numbers came out of DEI. And if they letting us go, good. Remember what I said earlier about the F? That means we can go from an F and move up, right? We can move up possibly to the D. If more of us, and that's what happens to us anyway. When they let us go, we get creative. We create our own. Listen, there's no reason why we don't all have our own podcasts, media companies, whatever. Just because these people say you can't work for me, just because, whatever, doesn't mean it's the end of the world. We are living in a decentralized media right now. At one point in time, yes, if you didn't work for the big networks, you were done. I remember that in the 80s and 90s. But now we got distribution. You got YouTube. Spotify has podcasts now. You got Facebook, TikTok. You have so many different places to distribute your content. So it's really no excuse to be saying, oh, if they cut us out, we're not going to have a voice. I don't want a voice on your platform. I want my own voice.
Nice.
The next one you mentioned about online hate. Hey,
Yes.
Let's get to that point. What were you saying about that?
Just about, what are you noticing in the media scope when it comes to online hate, and like political or policy shifts that you're seeing when it comes to media and addressing or dealing with online hate?
Okay. Well, we've been dealing with hate ever since we have came in contact with these people, and they would not let go hate. So whether it's online, whether it's coming over to Black Wall Street to destroy something, whether it's putting down an ordinance to try to trip up or sabotage a Black person, where they're trying to use permits in cities to try to get a Black person out of their business, where they're trying to use noise ordinance. These people have used every avenue to hate Black people, whether it's the criminal justice system, whether it's the civil courts, whether it's whatever. So as a Black person, we're going to live with hate, and that's just part of that culture toward us. Online is no different. It's not online that's the problem. It's those who are doing it behind computers is the problem. So what I would say to that is hate and them hating us, that's light work. That's not really much that I would say we should be concerned about.
Okay. And how do you balance speaking boldly on racism, reparations, and white supremacy while keeping your platforms alive and sustainable?
Well, once again, learn the rules on these platforms for one. Two, what I've learned, as long as you don't get into a lot of name calling, long as you keep your language clean, without all the profanity, um, be very factual, don't get into a bunch of conspiracy theory things. Hey, look, show your work, different in the past in the church. In the past, to build off the scripture, right? And then after he build off the scripture, he give his message. Same thing. You let people know. You don't claim things that didn't happen. If you are wrong, say, hey, I was wrong, take something down, amend it, whatever. Just stick to, I guess we just say, journalism standards.
Mhm.
And I think you can be okay for the most part. Be factual in what you're talking about. Listen, somebody can hate what you say all day, but you say, oh, yeah, well, he is showing the study. Oh, he did. Yeah, he talking about DEI. I don't like it, but yeah, the study right here shows that white women did benefit the most of a DEI. So when I heard him say, good, I'm glad DEI went away because I'm not going to support no policy that don't benefit my people. That's why he said it, because he showed the study. That's why.
Mm. Some more quick comments here. Someone saying we need to make our own. Emma says facts. And Emma also says the hate and obsession is real. And also another person saying reparations is justice. Good stuff. Let me ask, you openly speak about mental health and the pressures of this work. How do you protect your mind and spirit while covering some of these heavy stories on your platform?
Well, I'm glad we have everybody here now, because at one point in time, when I was by myself, I had to cover it all to put a weight on you, right? Now we have more people. It's kind of spread out. If I feel overwhelmed or just have a mental block, I stop. I just don't do anything. And I just go relax my nerves, whatever I choose to do. So, and I also have to learn, listen, that happened. I hate it, but life goes on, unfortunately, for certain things. You have to live your life. I can't bring what I report on to my family. Right. And I'm not going to do that. At one point in time, I was doing that, and it was putting me in a bad headspace. But now, no, I know how to easily turn it on and turn it off now.
Nice. I want to say great stuff on that mindset change that you've had over the years. And that's kudos to you. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's talk a little bit about creators, Black content creators. What are some of the mistakes you're seeing Black content creators making when it comes to media in 2026?
Good question. Good question. Because a lot of times I'm not really focused on a lot of other people, but I do see things. Well, I say this: if you're going to make content, just make sure you're doing it in a way that you can maximize revenue. If you're not maximizing revenue, then you're just wasting time. That's just how I feel about it personally. So make sure you do content that can be monetizable. Make sure that you can, sell merchandise, or whether it's courses or whatever the case may be. You should not be online all day and not making money. It should be you making money in your sleep, literally, because your platforms are generating all kind of funds. So that's really the main thing that I will say, is just make sure you're maximizing revenue at the end. Don't let people gas you up to report on things that's going to get you in trouble on these platforms. Don't do that, because let me tell you what people are going to do when you lose your platform. They're like, oh, it's messed up. And they're going to go right on to the next platform and listen to them. They're not going to be there for you. They're not going to give you a dime or whatever. So just always be mindful. You want to protect your platform and your monetization.
Nice. If a young brother or sister came to you with 0 subscribers, but a strong voice, what blueprint would you give them over the next 24 months?
Simple. I'm like, this what you really want to do? Okay. Well, are you willing to dedicate 5 years to it? And if they're not willing to dedicate 5 years, then the conversation ends. If they're willing to dedicate 5 years, say, okay, well, now you got to put in a lot of work. You got to put in the work. It's a lot of work to it. It's not just, see, people think, oh, it's just a video. No, it's a lot of work behind the scenes that you got to do to build yourself up, to establish yourself. And especially as a Black person, you behind the 8 ball already, right? So you got to kick that door down or whatever. But, I love people that just starting out. I don't really like established creators at all.
Nice, nice. What skills matter the most for our next wave of Black media leaders? Storytelling, tech, organizing, or something else?
I always say storytelling with Black people, for sure. We great at storytelling. So storytelling is always important. We'll talk on the stoop or whatever, or in the barbershop. If you could bring a barbershop conversation or just hanging out on the block conversation and put that on social media, people feel you're real. Definitely integrating tech, because my issue with Black people is that we be too behind on tech. And you mentioned AI earlier. Yeah, Black people now are kind of getting into AI, but you see them maybe doing videos on Sora, or maybe playing with pictures. But you got some Black people who are doing it, because I've seen the videos, who are taking these AI platforms and say, hey, look at what I'm doing, look at my business, how can I maximize it, and taking these advice and maximize it and making more money. That's the kind of things that we need to get more into. So yeah, storytelling is important, but definitely make sure you're on top of the tech, because the problem is Black people are so behind. And then the white folks and the Asians and the Arabs make all the money. And then here we come later after all the money gone.
Okay, we're going to take a quick little break, because we're going to run something that Phillip's going to be up in the Toronto area for people who want to check him out. And I just want to run something, giving a little detail about it. So we'll be back in about 40 seconds.
Toronto, July 25th. The Narrative Power Summit is landing in the 6. This is about ownership.
This is about controlling our story.
If you're serious about narrative power, strategy, and ownership, this is the room you need to be in. To get your tickets, go to africandiasporanews.org/Canada. I'll see you in Toronto.
It is coming up, and you'll see Mr. Phillip Scott and some others coming up on July 25th, 2026. And just want to get a few moments. How did this come about, this great event that's coming up?
Well, a few things, because earlier we was talking, and I'll get to that. You talking about AI. So that whole presentation with LaSherica there, that's my first AI creation. So that see how I save money even there.
Nice.
LaSherica did that whole thing.
Nice.
And I would have had to pay some money to get all that shot. So how that happened, I was supposed to go to the Pan-African Film Festival last year, but then you remember when Air Canada was doing the strike?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And there was no guarantee that I can get back home when I need to get back home, because we didn't know what time the strike was going to end or whatever. So it ended up being canceled. And then, but there was people that went to the Pan-African Film Festival, and they're like, oh man, we wanted to, meet with Phil or whatever. And Emma had told me. So I said, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do our own event. I said, we haven't done an event since 2018, actually. We was just starting to get in the events. And then after we did our first event, it went great. COVID happened. And so we just held off, we're doing events until, of course, now after COVID, wasn't thinking about it so much until that event happened with the Pan-African Film Festival. So, so we restarting our event, starting with this one.
What are you looking to achieve with this event in Toronto?
The same thing I'm looking to achieve every day is to make sure, we break bread with the brothers and sisters, have a unification with as much as possible, making sure, because, sometimes you won't meet people until you touch them. Some people you may not ever reach if you don't have an event, right? So, for us, sometimes it's just breaking bread, like the old school days, you get together, have an event, have people, you barbecue, you have some Kool-Aid. Some people like to have they liquor or whatever. And hey, we all having a good time, so that's kind of what I look at everything. And any event that I have, that's my mindset with it. We just having a good time. We trying to get to know each other.
Good. Well, people certainly check it out, and we expect you to be there if you're watching this. Don't matter where you are, make the effort. And it's not too bad in Canada these days. It's okay. It's okay.
Well, Dr. Vibe, well, I'm hearing some people in Canada
there's
not really
challenges.
liking
There's
us Americans
challenges.
too much.
It's okay. I'm not saying it's great. It's okay. I'll leave it.
But I was told, Dr. Vibe, I was
Okay.
told that it doesn't apply to us Black Americans. So I'm like, all right.
Okay. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. As we start winding the conversation now, and a few final things, paint the picture for us. What does a fully mature African diaspora network look like 10 years from now?
Ooh, 10 years. 10 years to be, of course, fully self-sufficient. Social media platforms will just be, let's say, the icing on the cake, not the cake. For us, that would be, creating multiple more jobs where we can give, good jobs to our brothers and sisters. Us being in more African countries, Caribbean countries, making sure that we touch, hey, we, having a European division, an Asian division. And when I say that, I'm talking about Black folks that live in these countries. That's what I'm talking about. Because we're all over the world, right? So we need to cover everything that we're at. So if I had to have it, yes, we cover the globe. No different than like the mainstream media will cover, but telling it our story, our way. Of course, maybe in 10 years, you probably see me maybe limited. And that would be good too, if maybe any at all, because how I look at it, I don't want to have the Al Sharpton thing. And what I mean by that is you always in the forefront.
Yeah.
You can't let nobody else come in. You can't give up the seat a little bit. And because listen, I get way more done behind the scenes, way more done than sitting in these chairs, right? Not to say I would give it up, but I'm just saying that it would probably get more limited then. Because if I still have to do everything like I started back in the shower curtain days, then I'm not progressing.
Right. It just makes me want to ask you, where do you get your vision from? Is it something you've always had?
No, some of it, no. It just one day I looked at something. It's like how things come to me like this. So I looked at the media space a long time ago and say, wow, we don't have no Black people talking about this. Let's see if I can create something like this. That's it. That's how even Soraya, how she got created. It's like, wait a minute. I'm listening to the music, and the music is talking about your fourth baby daddy and all toxic stuff and all this sex and lustful. I'm like, no. Let me get back and to create something where I can counter that and give another option. So for me, it's not that I always thought about it. I just have these inflection moments that happen to me. And then I'm like, okay, let me try to go create something to fulfill that need instead of complaining that we don't have it all day. Feel that need, feel that void. Because clearly there's a void there that needs to be filled. So that's kind of what happens with me.
Yeah. Two more conversation pieces. First of all, if YouTube and social media disappeared tomorrow, how many of our outlets are truly ready? And what should they be doing now to prepare?
Well, technically, I don't see YouTube, which is a multi-billion-dollar company, disappearing tomorrow. But in the grand scheme of things, we need to, while we on these platforms, we need to be building our own and having our own monetization pipelines like we talked about earlier. That way, if something were to happen, if YouTube would wake up tomorrow and say, hey, we don't want no political content on this app at all. We want cat videos again. At least you can go ahead and do all your political content on your stuff. So we should always be using these platforms to springboard, not try to just anchor our flag and stay on these platforms. That's just the best thing I can tell you, because I've seen way too many people come and go over the years. Okay. A lot of Black people have come and gone. And if you would have your own, then nobody can truly kick you off, if that makes sense, or mess your money up.
100%. Final thing, what would it take for you to say Black media has real power now? What needs to change to get to that statement being meaningful?
Well, it centers back to what I said in the beginning, ownership. Number two, not being afraid to call out the biggest stumbling block that we have in our community, which is the black preacher and the black politician. You got to have more people to call them out because they've caused the most stumbling within our overall community. If you go to every country, African countries, whatever, you're going to find that black politician and that black preacher. Them two together has been, to me, at times worse than white supremacy. If we got them out our way, we can do a lot better as a whole, as a diaspora, and definitely as black people. And you got to just have people in the media that's be willing to call this stuff out and not be liked. The beautiful thing is I'm not worried about being liked, not worried about it. Because one thing I've learned about life, there are people that are going to love me and hate me. There's people that's going to hate me and learn to love me. And there's going to be people that love me and learn to hate me. That's okay. I'm only focusing on people that love me. I don't worry about people that hate me. And I'm good with that. I sleep very well at night. My dogs care about me, my children, my wife, my family.
Yeah.
I'm good.
You are.
I sleep very well at night. No matter what you say about me, I sleep real good.
Yeah. Nice. Comment here in the section here. Someone saying AI not authentic enough. What do you have anything to say about that comment? AI not authentic enough?
No, I'm not. It's nothing for me to say. That's their belief, and that's fine. But what I saw this year, Dr. Vibe, at the CES show in Las Vegas, AI is going to be integrated into everything.
Everything. Yeah.
And that kind of comment is more so an emotional comment. It's not really a factual or technical comment because you're gauging that off of emotion. Now, the only thing I tell you about AI that has kind of sharpened me a little bit was the fact that it helped me detect emotion a lot faster when people talk versus something that's technical that you're saying. So that person has a right to feel that way. Sure. They have a right to feel whatever way they want to feel about AI. And if they don't want AI in their life, don't do it. Please, be at peace. But the rest of the world has moved, that governments have moved to this, and governments are moving to this at lightning speed. You're not going to be able to avoid it. And AI is going to touch you regardless because a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. I promise you that. What I saw this year, humans got about 3 to 5 years you really cooked. So you better learn how to use it, service it, and everything else.
Yeah. What would be, you said a number of black people are behind when it comes to AI. What would be some suggestions for the person who says, black person says, man, Phil, I don't know where to start with AI. What suggestions would you give?
Well, how I started, I just got me a ChatGPT account. I paid $20 to start, and then I just started trying to learn about it.
There you go.
Later, I got me a Claude account. I started learning Claude. Then it took me a while to even fool with Grok. And the reason why it took me a while, because I really don't like to fool with too many things that Elon Musk has his name on, because I just don't, his that apartheid racism that comes out of him, but Grok is interesting. I will say that. Do I use Grok like I use maybe ChatGPT or Claude? No, but Grok does have its advantages. It do, but I guess it's hard for me to use it at times because he's attached to it.
Okay. So Jonathan Maker says, misunderstanding my brothers. I said Al Sharpton, not AI. So you said Al Sharpton.
Oh, okay, Al Sharpton.
Okay. Well, okay. We will. You got away with that. No misunderstanding. No problem.
Okay.
And Ray says this is such a motivating.
I feel LaSherica has more spirit than a lot of them. So
I agree with that. Final comment here says, Ray McMillan says, this is such a motivating conversation for anyone trying to build a business, not only in media, but any space. It's good stuff. Phillip Scott, much thanks to you. What you past, present, and future, what you're doing. Any final comments you have for our family today?
Well, I appreciate, you letting me come through, and shout out to all the great people in Canada. Shout out to all of y'all in Canada. Or whatever, y'all hold on, with our president, you have to understand he will be out of office in not too long. He's not there forever. That's a good thing for a lot of people, right? So don't blame Americans for what he's doing, because nobody in America is controlling him. He won't even listen to his own advisors. Okay, he said the other day he don't have to listen to his team. He can just do what he wants. So if he won't even listen to the people around him, so clearly he's doing what he wants. So don't blame Americans when you see him like, oh, I hate y'all, because trust me, not everybody voted for him. Okay, a lot of people didn't even vote at all in the election. So no, all Americans didn't vote for him. A lot of Americans tired of the things he's doing. So just be patient. He'll be out of office shortly.
Well, as someone said the other day, it's a government of one right now when it comes to U.S. politics.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told my friends in Kenya. I think I did an interview in Kenya, and they were talking about the U.S. Say, listen, be honest with you, I would hold off visiting the U.S. until he's out. That's what I said. I just meant that. I would hold off because I wouldn't want to deal with the passport issues and visa issues this guy got going on. No, I wouldn't deal with it. I wouldn't go to no country that caused me a problem.
100%. Well, you can catch all things African Diaspora News Channel. There's the link there. It's also put in the chat in all the places that you're watching this live or on the replay. Again, check out Phillip Scott. He's on Monday to Friday evenings. Serious. And you got to be ready because he's a straight shooter. If you don't like what you're hearing now, don't even try to watch him on a nightly basis because he even goes deeper there. So, Phillip, I want to say thank you. If there's anything we can do on this side of the border for you, we're here to support.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you. Like I say, once again, thank you for inviting me to your platform. I greatly appreciate it. May the Lord bless and keep you and your family.
Thank you.
You stay in good health.
Right back to you and everyone on your team, family, and all loved ones. Again, you can watch replays of the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and the Dr. Vibe Show website, the drvibeshow.com. And as always, we enough with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourself grace. Because if you're not making money, make history, try to do both and make it better. God bless, peace to all, keep the faith, and walk good.